Good evening. Welcome back to another episode of the Halting Talks. You're joined tonight by myself, Scott Acton, Aaron Acton, and Nick Jones is back with us. You're not actually kick and collect threads anymore, are you?
No, we've changed it. We've
You've
had to make
changed it.
a slightly more specific to the Villa, so it's kick and collect Villa now.
I did, yeah, I did notice. First things first. I mean, how's your channel going?
Yeah, it's getting a bit of traction now, which is good. Some videos have had a little bit of traction, which is nice to see. We're just having fun with it,
Yeah,
like I'm sure you guys are as well, doing your little thing as well. So yeah, it's just about having fun and just trying to create as much content as you can, which is slightly differentiating each time. So, but yeah, it's going well, thanks.
yeah, I know that. I see you picked up a couple of cool shirts recently.
Yeah. It was pretty special actually. A shop close to me in Shrewsbury actually had the Paul McGrath one, which was pretty special. And I thought, oh, should I do it? Should I not? And I thought, yeah, there's a bit of a gap there in the 90s shirts. I thought, yeah, I'll treat myself and get that one. So yeah, that's
Yeah, that was
pretty cool.
class. Yeah, to have McGraw on the back as well. That's pretty epic.
Yeah, the chap actually said, he was like, I'm so sad to see this shirt go. And I was like, you can keep it if you really want, but but for what I'm paying you for it, yeah, I'll take it off your hands.
Yeah. I don't blame you. To be fair, that's a special one to pick up. To be fair, right, we're gonna just talk about the transfer window. Obviously, it's shut. We give it a couple of days to kind of let all the big players get their point of views out and whatnot. As I come to you first, we obviously on deadline day, Lindelof come in, Sancho come in, and Harvey Elliott come in. Just a quick reaction to what you just thought of deadline day overall.
Overall, good. Um, the quality of players I thought that we managed to get in on the last day of the window was impressive. Lindelof, free transfer, he's okay, but he's coming as a backup to Konza, really, isn't he? So probably a similar sort of player to Diassi from last year we had on loan. Sancho, I actually didn't think he did too bad for Chelsea yesterday, last season. He improved from what he was at Manchester United, so if Emery can get the best out of him or the form he had at Dortmund, then it's a cracking signing, really. Harvey Elliott is the best one for me anyway. Just that creative player that we need. In that number 10, Rodgers hasn't really been at it at the start of this season as a number 10, is he? He's played there a couple of times. So it just adds that more creativity in the midfield for us as well.
Yeah, Nick, I mean, what did you think of deadline day?
Do you know what? I think we actually did really well considering the constraints that we're under. Obviously, as fans, we don't really know what's going on behind the scenes, but I think from such a bad situation that we're in as a club financially, for whatever reason, I think we've done pretty well. We've got a solid free agent, so no fees going out there, just wages. Two fairly young lads there who have got massive potential. They've both played in Europe at the top level. They've been in solid teams, and I think recruitment wise, I think we've done pretty well. And we've got a manager there that's proven that he can really get the best out of these players. And I think it overall, for the player that was our best player for the majority of last season, I think those sorts of guys coming in who he's probably mates with. I think I saw something on Instagram where he's like gone into the training ground to see them. I think it's the kick up the backside that Rodgers needs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So playing with those two guys, and you saw it last year when Rashford came in as well. Um, I think it's what he needs, and it's going to boost him. I think we just need to regroup over the international break, get these guys integrated, and then I think we'll probably start our season in the next game. It's going to be tough. It's Everton away, isn't it? And I think, yeah, we'll get them integrated. We'll go from there, and we'll see what happens.
yeah. I mean, it kind of feels like park them 3 games. Season starts from Everton away, really, and you're having a 35 game season instead of a 38. Emery can be a bit where he might hold back on the signings, but you'd like to think that Sancho and Elliott would be straight into the 11. I would say. I mean, we don't know, obviously, international break, but I would imagine that he's got to change it up and maybe get them two straight in. If we go back to the start of the window first, and then we'll try and do it in a bit of a chronological order. Bezo was obviously in from the start, and I'll address the elephant in the room. And we did have a question from Alfie about it was what happens with Emmy now. Nick, I'll come to you. I know we've had a couple of comments on TikTok about it, but what is your standpoint now on the Martinez situation?
Well, I think as fans, we hope to see what the truth actually is from what's come out from behind the scenes. Obviously, is it the board? Is it the player himself, or is it the manager? We don't actually know, and we probably won't know. But personally, I think he needs to get his head back in it, go away with Argentina, come back, get some game time, eat some humble pie, say sorry to the fans, get back into the team, show the reasons why you signed that contract till 2029, I think it is. Yeah, and show the fans what Villa really means to you.
Yeah, I mean, as he would, I know you don't hold back on your opinions usually, as so. What I mean, what's your standpoint on it?
It's a difficult one because we don't know the full story. Obviously, at first it was like, oh, Martinez isn't playing because he wants to move to Man United, and then we hear quite a few people I've seen said that they said to some of the players, if a bid comes into you during at the end of the season, we will accept it. So you need to look at it both ways, and like Nick said, hopefully there's some truth that comes out of the club rather than chucking some of these players under the bus if it isn't their fault. Obviously, if he has refused to play for us, then I don't want him to go for us again personally. But would he do that? I don't think he would personally. I reckon it's the latter of what I said. Maybe a few players got told we're struggling. If you get a bid, it's going to be accepted. So yeah, hopefully, look, we need him in goal, don't we? We saw from the first game and the
Yeah,
third game we miss him. So hopefully, if he is in the wrong, he'll say sorry, and we go from there. But it takes a lot to win us back round, doesn't it? So it's a big, difficult one.
yeah. I mean, Villa fans can be very fickle, can't they?
Mm.
You know,
Just a bit.
and I kind of see it as um, it's a World Cup year. He's not going to want to sit on the bench, and really, unless there's a move now, because I think the Turkish window is still open. But I can't see Villa selling him without actually signing another goalkeeper. So it looks like he's going to be here until at least January. Um, Bezo's definitely an improvement on Olsen. I think pretty much everyone can agree on that.
Yeah, 100%.
But Martinez is obviously in a completely different league to Bezo. Bezo, good number two. There's nothing wrong with that. Can come in and do a job. But I mean, I said it on a few of the comments that I obviously put the post out on TikTok was ultimately he's our best goalkeeper. And if we want to start winning games and moving up the league, you need him in goal. And I think, like both you said, he should apologise. I don't think we're going to know what actually happened until probably years down the line, whether it was driven by the club or driven by PSR because of the wages that he's on and the fee that we could have got for him. I think he should apologise because I did listen to a couple of things saying that he was kind of sat at Bodymore Heath on deadline day waiting for the call from United, which again, you only obviously you believe what you want to believe, but I think someone needs to obviously say something about it, whether that comes from the club or from Martinez himself. But I think that Everton team selection will be telling because if if he's starting, then surely Emery's like, yeah, he's our best goalkeeper. It is what it is. We got to move on. If for whatever reason he doesn't start, I just think it becomes an even bigger story, and then that just starts to eat into the season then, which I don't think we need right now because
Do
there's a
you
bit of a growth.
not think if it was the club who mentioned about he was selling you for the best interest for the fans to Martinez, the club needs to come out and say that. Otherwise, he's going to be getting
Yeah,
stick after stick every game. So if you're the club, you would want to come out and say this is the reasons. This is what happened with Emmy. He's 100% committed to play for us still. We did tell him that we might be selling him if we got a good offer. Otherwise, he's going to get booed in his first game back at Villa Park.
Yeah, I'm not sure if everyone will boo him, but like I said, I know what Villa fans are like, and they can be fickle. I kind of agree, but I just don't think clubs do that, do they? You know, I might be wrong, but I think if he starts at Everton and it's sorted, and then we can move on, he might get a bit of stick. But yeah, if he pulls off a worldie at the next home game, which would be what, Fulham, then you know people will slowly start to forgive him, and I'm pretty sure they'll be singing that he's world's number one again.
And
But
the
it
other
has,
thing, I would say the other thing is that if he is to be sort of frozen out because it was his own doing, like in terms of backup, what have we got? We've got a young
well, this
lad.
is it. Yeah, and I think we saw obviously Saturday, didn't we? Bezo's in goal. I think Sam Proctor was on the bench. I mean, Bezo is. I know he's not that much older than Martinez, but you're one injury away then from a crisis, and you're thrown in a young
Going to
kiddie.
be
That's
like
why,
it's going to be like a Gabor Kirai sort of issue,
yeah,
isn't it? Emergency loan, and it's like
yeah,
Jesus Christ, no.
that's what. Yeah, I just think, like I said, we that's why I've seen a few things about the Turkish window being open until like the 12th. I think Villa would have signed a goalkeeper if they thought he was going to go. It would be criminal to obviously let him go now without bringing in a proper replacement. Um, we'll park the Martinez stuff there because I feel like that's the grey cloud that's kind of hovering, and the elephant in the room. The next one, obviously, in the big early signing was Gesson. I think I'm saying that right now. Um, got 45 minutes on Saturday. Looked a little bit raw, maybe. You know. What did you think to him on against Palace and just the signing in general?
I'm glad he got a start. Um, he wasn't brilliant, was he? Gave the ball away a few times, but you can see he has got that flair to take players on. He did try it a few times. It's obviously early on. He's not used to playing with the players that he's playing. Overall, I think it's a good signing. From what I've seen of him, I haven't really seen much of him, obviously, but from what I have seen of him since Villa signed, um, yeah, for the money we pay for him, a young winger slash forward is 8 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, it's fair enough. Nick, early thoughts on Quaison?
I think from the start of the game, really on Sunday, he looked like he had a good few touches. Isn't scared of taking people on. I think he's just got to adapt to the league. I think a lot of fans were calling for him and Marlon to start. Um, they got that, and I don't think either of them were that productive, which is why they whipped him off at certain points throughout the game. And I think it's just going to take time. Like even Marlon hasn't had a good string of games where he started from the off, and he's been able to show what he can do. So I think it's just a case of getting them in the starting lineup, which is going to be difficult now because we're going to want to play Sancho and Elliot because we've only got them for a season. So, what do you do? Is it going to be a case of rotating these players because of European commitments? There's a lot of games coming up after the international break, so I think it's going to be difficult for them to get a good string of games under their belt. But like we go back to the manager, like if anybody can really sort this out, I think it's him, and he'll know exactly what he needs to do. Um, but yeah, overall, I think he's got a bit of time to gel with the team, and whether he plays left or right, I think he's just got to try his best to get to the byline. I think we really do lack in that sense, and probably one of the biggest frustrations for me on Sunday was watching Cash do his usual stuff, turning back inside, and I think we just need that outlet that does go to the byline. And I think maybe those two wingers can do that.
Yeah. We did actually get a question about Cash, and it was along the lines of when will we eventually upgrade at right back, which was sent in from Jamie. They've obviously tried to sign a right back for the last couple of years. Now, Gertruda was getting linked last summer. I think he's ended up at. Did he end up at Sunderland or something like that? Yeah, we've obviously signed Garcia last January. Got a few games. I mean, is it a case of other positions are more of a priority? but I know you stick up for him quite a lot as with Cash compared to what me and Jay would say. But he has been at fault for probably two of the goals that we've conceded this season. I know you'll debate the Newcastle, not even a goal for Newcastle, but the constant sending off because his ball was awful. But one of the Palace goals at the weekend, it was a bad. I think it was a bad pass. He should have played it up the line to Marlon. Is it that Villa fans have just found a new scapegoat, or is it that we are just, Cash has found his level? We could do with improving it, but there's more pressing issues in the squad that need addressing before we address right back. Nick, what do you think?
I'm not sure whether he is a right back. I don't know whether he's more of a sort of a wing back, right midfielder, because I think his delivery is sort of suffering. Like, I don't know whether he's just lacking in confidence that he just can't get the ball whipped in, or he's being told to turn inside and obviously play it square or back. Because we've seen like glimpses of it over his time at Villa. Like, he can actually do some really good stuff. And I'm not sure, because he's not lacking in pace, is he? So I'm not sure why he just doesn't actually bomb on a little bit more and try and whip the ball in, because his delivery isn't actually that bad, and I think he just needs a bit more confidence when he does get in that position to say, right, I'm just going to whip it straight behind the centre backs and let them deal with it, and hopefully, like, Ollie can get on the end of it. So I don't know. I'm not sure how old he is, but I think he's still got a bit of time to upskill himself. But I don't know. Maybe we give him another season, and if he doesn't bring anything to the table, do we look at trying to get more development in terms of Garcia and another one? It might be the way forwards, but I'm up for giving him like at least another season just to see what he can do.
Yeah, I think he must be. What is he as 20?
28,
Yeah, he's got to be late
27,
20s, isn't
28.
he? So he's not really. You think he was coming into his peak? I mean, listen, I know that you obviously you like Cash, so I'll let you stick up for him a little bit more. Yeah, go on, give me
Um,
your.
just going to what you said, Nick. Obviously, when he first came through at Forest, he was a right winger. He started his career as right wing, right midfield. And obviously he dropped back in the last season with Forest, didn't he? And then we signed him, obviously. I just think he's another scapegoat, personally. Um, it's not that I like him. He, Newcastle game, he was probably one of the only ones that I thought was putting himself about. He was putting his body on the line a few times. Uh, and I think he gets told to do what he needs to do. Emery prefers to tackle from the left. Um, Otherwise, if he'd done that every game, Emery would be surely dropping him. Do you know what I mean? So he must be getting told to do that. Obviously, going back to the Palace goal, I think he did look to play it down the line if you look at it, but then Marlon sort of stopped his run. And then he played it inside, but then Marlon carried on. So it's just a mix up between the two, I think, personally. Bad pass, but also bad movement from Marlon. That's my take on it. Um, but yeah, I just think he's another scapegoat. Um, we saw last season he can do it when he goes forward, and I think he prefers cutting back onto his left foot, doesn't he, to
Yeah,
get the cross in. You won't hear me say a bad word about Matty Cash.
I mean, we were stood next to each other on Sunday, and we were literally watching the same game, and sat at the same vantage point, and we've got two different completely opinions on it. So,
Watch
I'm
it
not
back.
gonna.
Marlon stopped his run.
No, I know what
As
you're
Cash did.
saying, but the ball was always up the line into the space, then coming inside.
It
But
was, but when you look tough, if Marlon's on the run, that ball goes down the line. No doubt about it.
we'll agree to
And then
disagree.
if you go back to the other game, what was that back past Newcastle where Konza got sent off? There was
Yeah,
three people in the box. They all made the same run. One of them just sat back. He's got a tap in 1-0 Villa. Everyone's saying, great cross, Cash.
yeah, I know. But that didn't happen. So, but
No one criticised the three people making the same run.
well, again,
Everyone criticised the cross.
we'll agree to disagree. But I think, as you alluded to, Nick, he's obviously, I think, and I know you just touched on it, He's obviously being told that he doesn't want that delivery because surely he would just swing it in. He cuts back a lot. That must be the instruction that he's being told to do because, like you said, naturally you just think whip the ball in behind the centre backs, let Ollie try and make something happen, or late runners or whatnot. So I think the debate of
Scott,
cash, yeah,
let's remember, there's a game last season. Garcia started. I don't know if you remember. He got cut.
yeah,
He came off at half time. I don't know if you remember when Garcia kept on bobbing on down the line. Emery was
Mm.
having a go at him. I don't know if you saw that or remember it.
yeah,
So I think he's definitely being told to do what he's doing.
It's true
yeah,
because I've got a friend that used to play professional football in the lower leagues, and one of the old school managers, I think it was League Two or Conference. He said it was pretty much the opposite because obviously non-league's a bit more like we'll go route one sort of thing. And he said, I don't want you to, if you turn inside and pass it to the centre back, I'll sub you off. He said, as soon as you get the ball, you stick it straight down the channel. And he
yeah,
literally, that's all he got told to do. So,
yeah.
yeah, I think it is instruction, but obviously in this case, it's the other way around.
Yeah, and I think obviously fans just get frustrated because they see it as whip the ball into the box, and that's obviously where it comes. And then when something bad happens or he does something that maybe gets picked up on, then he becomes more of a scapegoat. I think there's
Mhm.
worse right backs in the league. I also think there's a lot better right backs in the league, but you could say that about, 4 or 5 players maybe in our team at the moment. So I'm not going to dig him out too much. The big one, obviously, transfers for Villa until deadline day was obviously Ramsey going out. Um, Now I think this has caused a bit of obviously uproar, maybe more in the dressing room than maybe. Well, I think the fans are disappointed because he's an academy player and it's not nice to see. But I also think there's a segment of the fan base that think he's not been as good as he was probably in Emery's first half season, and his levels dropped off because of injuries and maybe game time. It makes sense to sell him because he was an academy player. Uh, I still don't know where I sit on it because I still think it's quite sad that we've had to let him go because I think there is a good player in there. Nick, your thoughts on the Ramsey sale? I mean, like I said, I don't think there's a wrong or right answer, but it splits opinions.
No, I agree with you, to be honest, Scott. I think it is quite sad. We don't really get the chance to see many academy graduates come through at any club, do we? Um, I think it's obviously leaning towards the fact that it's pure profit.
Yeah,
Um, I think on the flip side of that, he does get quite a few injuries, doesn't he? So obviously, as he goes on in throughout his career, he's going to pick up more and more injuries. So are they looking ahead in that sense because he's pulling up with, I think it's hamstring, was it hamstring injuries that he was coming up with? And I think once your hamstring goes sort of once or twice, then you're obviously going to sort of hold back um, the further on in your career. So maybe were they looking in that sort of sense, or was it just purely about pure profit? I think that was probably the reason, and we saw it from obviously McGinn and Mings making those sort of cryptic sort of posts on Instagram about Ramsey. So yeah, it's a difficult one for us all to take really, and it goes back to what's been happening behind the scenes. And but overall, yeah, I think it's very disappointing because we know how good he could be. He could take players on, score goals. We just probably didn't get to see the best of him for a sustained period of time, which is quite sad. But I'm 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 pretty confident in saying to all the Newcastle fans that they've got one hell of a player there. If they can keep him fit, then best of luck to him.
yeah. I mean, it's a good move for him. Going to Newcastle is a great move. I think he actually come off injured at half time in his first start against
Yeah, he
Leeds, didn't
did.
he? Which
Yeah.
backs up what you're saying, Nick, about the injuries. I don't know if it's a serious injury or not. Azzy, just your thoughts on Ramsey going?
Yeah. Oh, you disappointed, but on on his day, he's a good player and he carries the ball very well. But if we're looking to push up into that top four, I would say we would need an improvement on Ramsey, a more consistent player, because he's what 1 in 5 games he has a good game, and like Nick said, very injury prone. disappointed that we let him go. It sounded like he was very well liked in the dressing room. Obviously, like Nick said, I think Mings put a statement out saying no backlash for Ramsey, didn't he, and stuff like that. He actually, I think, he started centre midfield, didn't he, for Newcastle against
Yeah.
Leeds, which was interesting to see him deployed there. But yeah, like I said, if we want to be more consistent and go into that top four, it would have been an area of improvement that I would want to make.
Yeah, it's fair enough. I mean, I kind of said it last year when Dougie got sold that if I was going to sell anyone, I think I said it on our like Villa family chat group. I'd actually sell Ramsey because of the pure profit. But yeah, I think it is sad. It is sad, and I think a lot of Villa fans wish him well at Newcastle, as long as it's not to the detriment of Villa doing well. Um, but I'm sure when he comes back, he'll get a good reception and better than when Jack come back with City for the first time. So we probably wish him well. Then in terms of transfers, there wasn't really a lot until obviously deadline day. Like I said, it was a bit doom and gloomy after the Palace game. Um, we were talking obviously off air, and it was that Palace game was a bad game, bad for the club. I think everything that was going on off the field kind of spilled onto the field, and we've not really seen that in the Emery era yet as such. And hopefully we can just say now it's the window's shut. This is our squad. Now the season starts properly. Um, the Lindelof signing was maybe a little bit underwhelming for some people, but I think it's a sensible deal for a backup to Conte. Good experience. Like you said, he's probably coming to do the role that Disassi did last year. Some people say Disassi's better. Disassi didn't pull up like many trees, did he? When he come in, he did a job. I think he'll play on a few of the cup games and the Europa League games. Obviously, the two big ones, Sancho and Elliott. I won't touch on Lindelof for too long. So the Sancho is just a loan for the season. I mean, the more I think about it, I think, do you know what? It's not actually a bad signing. I think he could do a job. If you can get the Dortmund first time round Sancho, I mean, he was a hell of a player. That's why United paid, 73 million for him. We need a proper winger. I'd say he offers that. Guesson and Marlon aren't out and out wingers. Marlon probably is more of an inside forward, and Guesson, we don't really know what he is yet. Thoughts on the Sancho signing, Nick? When the news broke, were you thinking that's a good signing, or a bit on the fence, a bit of a panic buy, or
I think take away the background noise in terms of wages and stuff like that. I think we've got a decent player there, England international. There's no reason why he can't get back to that height, really. Like you say, he's played for some big teams, hasn't he? Dortmund,
yeah,
Man United, Chelsea. Obviously, won the final with Chelsea, and I think he scored, didn't he, in the final? So he's not short of experience in that sort of fashion. So I think if he just gets playing sort of regularly, um, gels well with maybe the other English players, because going up the top end of the pitch, they'll all pretty much be English players, won't they? So obviously
yeah,
Ollie, Rogers, Sancho, and Elliott, that would be fantastic. Just imagine how that would gel, and then obviously the
yeah,
other players coming in more as impact um, sort of players for us would be brilliant. I think looking ahead, I think we've got a really good chance to really start well again after the international break. I think, like I said before, if they can just gel, come together, work out a system with one of the one of the best managers we've had, I don't see any reason why we can't push and push and push and really give the European stuff a go. And I think Sancho will be a big catalyst for that.
yeah. I don't disagree with anything that you said. To be fair, I think it's quite nice that it's a full season, because when Rashford and Sancho come on after Christmas, obviously they didn't really sign until February, so it feels like a short time that they were here. Whereas Sancho, he could end up playing 40 plus games, for us, if all goes well. Azzy, when you see the Sancho links coming through, what was your initial thoughts? Good signing, or like I said, panic buy, or what were you thinking?
No, I was happy. I was happy. Um, so, like I said earlier, for what I saw him with Chelsea last season, I wouldn't say he was back to his best, but he was better than better than what he has been at Man United, and just hopefully Emery can do what he did with Rashford, with Sancho, and like you said, he's an out-and-out winger. He likes getting the ball, taking it onto the byline and delivering that ball. But he's also very good at coming inside and scoring a few goals. Obviously, we haven't scored any goals yet this season.
Yeah.
And we have lacked that creativity. We don't even look like scoring, have we? Well, I don't even think Ollie's had a chance, has he, in the first 3 games? From what I
No,
can remember.
a couple of half
Um,
chances, didn't he? That's it.
so hopefully he's that creative spark we need, the same with Elliot, and I think it's crucial that we need to win against Everton. Otherwise, we never know what will happen there. But I think it's crucial that we get that first win against Everton on the first go back off after international break.
Yeah, we needed a winger. I think when we were talking about Gasson earlier, Nick, and you were saying about like getting to the byline. I mean, that season when we actually got Champions League, it was because Leon Bailey was absolutely electric and would get to the byline and mix his game up. Where I feel like Sancho can be that kind of player. I think he suits a team that maybe has a slower build up like us, and he's better in the tight spaces. But he can get to the byline, deliver. He's also, he's not blistering pace. He's quite good in the tight areas, but it's just
There's that
a
burst of
different.
speed, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like a slightly different differential to add to
Mm.
your string of attack where, we don't really have a player like that at the moment. He's got a full season, head down. I don't mind it. I don't mind it at all. The last one, Harvey Elliott. Now, I think a lot of Villa fans this was a bit unexpected. There was a few links earlier in the window, wasn't there? And I think, but the way I see it is he's 22. He's young. He's obviously on loan for the season with an obligation. I think I've read the obligation is only like 10 games. He's got to play 10 games, which unless he has a real bad injury, he's going to play 10 games. Um, it's nice for Villa to be signing a player that is young, quite well experienced already. Like I said, he's only 22, 35 million, I think the obligation is. Um,
Yeah.
he just, when you watch Harvey Elliott, he's a bit arrogant. He's got, plays with like a freedom, but he's also a bit of a terrier, like a bit like Guinea in that respect. Um, I've got a couple of Rob sent in a couple of questions, which were where do we see Elliott playing, and does he improve the starting 11? Now I know we'll probably have different opinions on what our best 11 is, but um, Nick, where do you see Elliott fitting in?
It's a tough one, isn't it? Because I think you'd probably see him in behind the striker. Obviously, just going left and right, like you say, having a bit of freedom. But then, where does Rodgers go? Rodgers obviously hasn't been that effective in the wider areas. Plays his best down the middle, which we saw last season. So, where do you go from there? Emery's a bit of a stickler for the 4-2-3-1 system, so I can't really see him changing that. So, is it going to be a case of he starts on the wing and just alternates with Rodgers? I think that might be a bit of a system that they might have going. And then obviously Sancho on the other side. To be honest, I think with the three of them, I think they might just rotate as and when throughout the game, um, just to keep teams sort of on the toes, because as we've seen as fans, for the first 3 games, we've been very predictable. And I think
Yeah,
if they could rotate on a consistent basis throughout the 90 minutes of each game, I think it's just going to keep them guessing, and teams are going to be like, "Wow, Villa are throwing some different bits that we didn't expect here." So I think it's a difficult one, but I think if they can rotate across that three just behind Ollie, I think that'd be uh, a pretty good option for us.
yeah. Azzy, do you think he improves the starting 11?
Yes. Um, I think he does. He's not going to get in them the two holding players, is he? You've got Tillemans and Kamara. That's going to held down with them two. He does prefer Rodgers playing out in the wing, doesn't he, Emery? We saw that last season, so I see him playing as number 10. Um, but then you've got the likes of McGinn, who's going to fall out of the squad then, which I do think we need in there. So the main thing is we've got options now, haven't we? It's not like we know the starting 11 is going to come out, we know who it's going to be. We've got options, and if it's not working during the game, we've got options to come off the bench. So it does improve the starting 11 for me, but I just I just feel we get more gains as number 10.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing from Sunday, I think when you were looking at the bench, obviously apart from Buendia, who actually come on and did pretty well Sunday, you didn't really have a flurry of options. But when you think about it from last season, we've lost Rashford, we've lost Asensio, we've lost Bailey, and we've lost Ramsey. So you've lost four attacking players, and you've got Guesson and Buendia back. So our options were definitely lacking. I've listened to a few different things today about maybe him playing as a right 10 to keep Rodgers in the middle. But yeah, I think personally, I think he'd be better suited for the middle, and I wouldn't be surprised if we now see a slight change that Sancho is the the Bailey effectively that Champions League season, where he's keeping the width on the left and our inside right winger is an Elliot or a
Mm.
Rodgers playing a bit narrow, which then might actually free up cash. And maybe it's like a Luka Dean or a Matson that are the ones tucking in instead of all the attack coming down the left. Could be completely
When
wrong.
he came through at Fulham, he was a right winger, as a right midfielder. That's when Liverpool
Yeah.
brought him. Obviously, Liverpool brought him inside. He also played centre midfield, didn't he, a few times for Liverpool?
Yeah, I think the games that I've
But
seen
yeah,
him
that,
play at Liverpool, he was more central. And listen, no
yeah.
one's going to play every single game, but maybe other than Morgan
Mm.
Rogers because Emery loves him. But it is about having
You've
options.
also
I
got the
think,
option. No, I was just to say, obviously, when Emery first came into Villa, he liked Pau Torres being the left back, didn't he? So you've also
yeah,
have got that option of doing the formation that you said, using Pau as a left back, Tyrone, Esri, and then Casper and Ford on the right, and that leaves you back three still. So you've also got that option now as well.
yeah. I mean, I think in pre-season, like you said, Nick, about the rotation, I think in pre-season we did see that in some games where the three behind
Mm.
were rotating quite a lot. Then obviously with the Newcastle game, we didn't see it at all. The Brentford game, I don't think we saw it at all. Um, but maybe that's just because Emery thought I'm going to trial it in pre-season. If I get certain players in, then we can do it when it comes to obviously the league. Um, I mean, just to obviously wrap it up, just if you were to rate the window out of 10, what are you both going for? As I come, you can go first.
Um, on the whole, from what we sold and who we managed to bring in the end, probably I'll give it a 7.
Yeah. Okay. Nick, what are you going for?
Yeah, similar. I'd probably go for a 7 as well. I think with the outgoings, it's been a bit of a shame. But the incomings, especially with such a narrow window to get them in, I think we did pretty well. So I think on the whole, yeah, 7 out of 10 would be a good one for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think it was up until deadline day, it was underwhelming, and I'm not sure that anyone really knew what was going to happen on deadline day. But the fact that they managed to get them three players over the line, I just think, yeah, fair play. And I know Damien Vidagani come out after, didn't he, and say we're very restricted by, it's all about revenue streams now, and we are clearly being hampered by PSR and the UEFA stuff. We obviously done a preview and you had Villa fourth for the league. Nick, I don't know what you thought at the start of the season, but
I said 14th. Did you miss the wire?
yeah, yeah, right. Um, if I was to ask you both now, if you thought what would be a good season to the start that we've had and the issues with PSR and who we brought in and who we've lost, um, as would you change your prediction first, and then I'll come to you, Nick.
Yes. I think the main thing is we're back in Europe next season, whether that's through the league or winning a cup, which I would love it if we won a cup this year. But yeah, as long as we're in Europe next season and in the Premier League still, um, I'll be happy.
Okay, you're gonna give me a league finish?
8th.
Okay, Nick. Like I said, I don't know what you thought obviously before the season started, but if you were to say what would be a positive season now with what we've got, what would you be going for?
I think if we can sustain where we are at currently. So if we can get 5th or 6th for Europa League again, I think that'd be a really good season for us. That's being optimistic. I think before the season kicked off, I said if we could get top half, I think we've done really well with the constraints that we've been under for some time now. But yeah, obviously the start we've had has put us in a bit of a backwards position. So I think realistically top 10, optimistically top 6.
Yeah, I think when we done our preview, I had us 6th. I think I had us lowest out of me, you, and Jamie. And I
Yeah,
gonna
Jamie was fifth.
maybe just say was slight drop off because I think some teams like Spurs look a lot better. But yeah, I think obviously a cup would be great, wouldn't it? But you never know. Like you've said, Nick, earlier on, we've got the one of the best managers we've ever had, and if there's someone that could turn it around and really, stick two fingers up at the whole PSR thing, it would be Emery. So fingers crossed. I think obviously, like I said, it was a bit doom and gloom after the Palace game. Deadline day kind of cheered everyone up. Now we have got obviously a good little break until the Everton game, which is gonna is interesting for a few different reasons. Obviously, Jack's playing really well since he's gone back there. Harvey Elliott going back if he starts or plays against Everton. But we certainly need to start the season now and try and get at least a point or a goal on the board against Everton. And yeah, fingers
What
crossed.
would
Fingers
your
crossed. Go
what
on.
would your starting 11 be against Everton if you had to pick it now?
If I was picking it right now, it would be Martinez in goal, Matson, Mings, Konsa, Cash. Dependent, I'm going to say Kamara and Anana are still injured, so probably Yori, McGinn, Rogers, Elliott, Sancho, Watkins.
Yeah, I'd be the same. I'd probably just change Digney for Matson.
Yeah. Nick, what do you reckon for that Everton game?
What about you, Nick?
Same as you, Scott. As you were going through it, I was like, yeah, same. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, bang on. I think if that can be the blueprint for the season, I think we'll do quite well considering the start we've had, and then obviously just rotate the players
Yeah.
off the bench as and
Yeah.
when we need them. But we've still got strength to come back, haven't we? Well, like you say, with the injuries, I just hope Anana builds some strength up in his legs because he is made of glass.
Oh, it's so bad, and it's someone for that. That's. I mean, we touched on it after the was it after the Brentford game? We had a bit of a moan about Anana, and just like, oh God, you should be made of steel, but you are literally made of glass, and it's so frustrating. I mean, you could throw Barkley into that as well. We haven't seen him again this season so far. Like, it's so frustrating. But listen, it is what it is. Like I said, I think there's a bit more optimism now after the window's shut, and let's fingers crossed Everton we can get the season underway properly and get a few smiles back around the Villa, the whole Villa scene. But yeah, that will do. Nick, thanks for coming on. I said we would get you back on after you
Thank
come on
you.
and did the kit episode with us, which was really good. Me and Jamie had a lot of fun doing that. Azzy, thanks as always. Nick, we'll get you back on throughout the season again. And
Perfect.
yeah,
Cheers, guys.
up the Villa.
Cheers, boys.